So kicking off today's final series of our small credit union spring training is going to be Reagan Bonlie. He's the CEO at Nudge Money, and he's going to be talking about how you can attract Gen Z with marketing and data. Reagan, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. Excited for the conversation today. Over the past couple of years, I've become incredibly passionate about uplifting small credit unions. And in my conversations with you and your peers, what I learned is that you all make a amazing impact in the communities, yet you need a little bit of support to make sure that message really comes through. And what we've realized is that in today's world, as technology has advanced, when you bring on a partner, you should be paying for some advanced things. And some of those basics, like the foundations of data and marketing, they should really be free, but they haven't been. So we've partnered with some thought leaders in the space to really put together a robust toolkit. That way you can all set an amazing foundation. And then we'll also talk about leveling that up from there to ultimately get to hyper personalization. So today we'll talk a little bit about us, share our why, share a bit about what we've learned from Gen Z and the things that they're looking for, some of the roadblocks that y'all might be facing in growing a small credit union, some of those harsh truths, and then the plan. So we put together a three-step process from the basics, the foundation, which are complementary. We'll get into that, leveling that up and getting to a more personalized recommendation, and then ultimately hyper-personalization, which is now possible at a small credit union, and then how to take action from there. This is my mom. She immigrated from India, and that's little me. And at a young age, my father, he encountered a number of different health issues. So my mom had to take over the family finances, and she did it with passion, but she had very little guidance. And I started to notice some financial challenges as I grew up. So it was enough motivation for me to get into retail banking. So in 2010, at 21 years old, became a banker at Chase. Over the next several years, I helped thousands of people achieve their financial goals. And one day, a gentleman, he walked into the branch and he sat across from me, sharply dressed, clean shaven, but he was frustrated. He wanted to live life. He wanted to spend more time with his family, wanted to travel the world. So we put together a plan and we sat down, we discussed it. And then he gave me a little nod. I couldn't quite tell what he was thinking, but then he disappeared. 6 months, no phone calls, no visits to the branch, wouldn't reply to my emails. And then he walks in one day with a big beard, shorts, tank top, and flip-flops. And I said, "Where have you been?" And he said, "Well, I followed the plan. I quit my job and traveled the world." And I was in awe and blessed to be part of changing his financial trajectory. But I realized, what about mom? Who should have been in her corner when she needed to set the foundation in her finances, from build an emergency fund, plan for important events like retirement. Then I realized that everyday people need a lot of help, just like my mom. 65% of people living paycheck to paycheck, 43% have no retirement accounts, 1 in 5 have zero emergency savings. And I don't need to tell you this because you all experience it every day. You can probably name a dozen members that are going through this. So it set me off on a journey to want to achieve more and help more people. So my team over the past few years have been on a mission to improving financial well-being for 100 million Americans. And we started with a digital application for members, and we impacted thousands of different lives, like Edwin, who thanked us because he was able to buy that home for his family to grow up in. But we realized in conversation with hundreds of credit union leaders that only scratches the surface. You all are pivotal in driving financial wellness at scale, yet sometimes you're held back by certain challenges. And what we realize is that financial wellness and marketing, sometimes they're conflicting initiatives. Do I send that product recommendation or do I deliver financial literacy? And we believe that you can do that in sync. Growth, you have to achieve growth. Though financial wellness is your mission, at the end of the day, you got to grow your credit union, grow the movement to stay relevant, but you have to do that with limited resources. Not enough vendors that will accommodate small budgets, yet with the right partner, you can actually make your initiatives come to life. you and your other staff, you're stretched thin. I talk to you all the time. You're wearing a lot of hats, and there needs to be more efficiency in executing those growth strategies. You're held back by old tech. Sometimes data gets stuck from your core going to your marketing system. Maybe that's not even happening. You invest in low margin products because it's right for your members. So growth is even more important in that process. There's big opportunities and partnerships, pivotal relationships that get buried in red tape and regulation, and they're just waiting for liftoff. Interest rates are flying across the board in this environment. So you have to pivot from product to product, yet you're still keeping the loyalty of your members. And it's lonely because you have your own product set, your own strategies, a unique community, and there's not enough guidance to actually, take it to the next level. And your membership is aging. And Gen Z, quite frankly, is not knocking, but you just need to speak to them in the language that's relevant. So as we've learned about Gen Z, we personally surveyed 150 Gen Zers, and what I talked to dozens of them myself, and what we found is that in asking them questions like, why don't you bank at a credit union? 70% said, I don't even know what a credit union is. Um, the majority of them were guided to their first financial institution by their parents. So are we engaging them through their families? Are you able to capture the next generation by communicating that through their parents? We partnered with a financial wellness tool for college students, and what we found is that 30% still did not have their first checking account by freshman year of college. So that gives you an idea of when to engage them. Over half of those freshmen that had a bank account, they were actually using Venmo as their primary account. So it gives you an idea of what they're looking for in terms of convenience. Now, the financial brand did a survey, and what they found is that 80% of Gen Zers wanted to know these three things. How much do I need to save to meet my goals? Two, what type of insurance and how much do I need? Three, how do I maximize my retirement accounts? So all going back to, am I engaging them at the right time? Do I understand enough about them to make that personalized recommendation at that right time? Now, my team and I, we went out and we set up some accounts at some top digital banks so we can understand how they engage. Chime, Monzo, and Revolut, we counted the touch points in the first 60 days. And what we found is that Chime was about 20 to 30 touch points. They were heavy on email. They did it early. So thinking, when your member opens an account on the 3rd of the month, are they getting that welcome email on the 4th, or is it the 1st of the following month, or does it never come? Monzo, 40 to 70 touch points. They're heavy on push notifications, and they tie that to your activity. So very personalized to how you're engaging in that bank. Revolut, 15 to 25 touch points in the first 60 days, balance between email and push notifications. So where does your credit union stack up alongside this? So if I'd like to ask, and don't be shy, but who actually uses data today in some regard? And you can just put a thumbs up, a heart, some reaction. Okay. All right. Well, some of these things to think through, if you're using data to some degree, think about, maybe you're digging through it at a high level, but think about, can you get to that next level to really understand your member? Like, how many of your Gen Zers own a car, right? Like, is that something that you can actually find out in a reasonable amount of time? Then, are you sending email, text, push notifications? If you're not, then think about what will it take to set up that process and then ultimately tailor it to your members' behaviors, family dynamics, product needs, or life events. So let's talk about the plan here. So we put together a 3-step process, and the foundation. I wanted to thank Royce Nim. I've had a few conversations with him, sat down and understood, what are some of those building blocks that we need to set a good fundamental for growth at a credit union, at a small credit union. what we unpacked was basic segmentation. So just starting with 3 to 5 segments for your existing membership. Onboarding on time, so segment based on those segments. Email offers, so products and services. We'll get into all of these things. Financial literacy, so just a basic set of blogs, and then expressing the value of your credit union. So keeping them updated on the impact that you're making in the community, the events that you have going on, and then some digital tools that are answering their questions. We could spend a lot of time on all of these things, but I just wanted to make it easy and provide you all with a free toolkit. So we've been working behind the scenes for the past several weeks to put together this set of marketing tools. So no matter, if you haven't started on this process, if you have some of these set up, you at least will have some basics to have an onboarding sequence, a basic tool, a basic emailing system, some calculators, segmentation guides so you can break down your membership, or we can do a complementary analysis and give you all of the behavioral insights, cross-selling opportunities for your membership. Over 30 email templates, so you can just simply drop in your credit union name, maybe some additional values that you offer, and then get that started. 16 blogs, and then 36 marketing graphics for popular holidays and credit union events. Recently partnered with Get Response. So Jennifer Audette, she's the CEO of Polam. She's reached out to me excited for this toolkit that we were building. So we brought them on, and they provided a very significant discount of 50% to credit unions. Now, if this seems daunting, and if you haven't started on your journey to personalized communications, my team would be happy to help you get this set up for free. So we can help you, as you get set up with an email marketing system, or if you already have one, we're happy to hop in there and help you plug these in right away. So now taking that up a notch, so actually getting to where we understand your members to some degree. Now, let's think about your average member. You probably know, who your average member is. Let's say it's Jane. She's about 55 years old. She comes into the branch every Tuesday in that teal dress, and you probably know her basic products and services, maybe some of her behaviors, like is she a homeowner? Does she have kids? Is she a gardener? Where she is in her financial journey. But do you know your ideal member, like your Gen Zer? Say Joseph, who's 25, he might be more digitally focused. Do you know that he's a renter, traveler, uses Venmo and Betterment? So thinking about, and I think Chris is on the line here. He posed a very interesting question. Is your website and your communications, are they speaking to your average member? Are they speaking to your ideal member, like your Gen Zer? Are they speaking to anyone at all? Like, do you have a process, and are you thinking through some of those personalizations? So I'll share how we do that. So our tool will actually unpack all of those behavioral personalizations for your member. Okay, so here we use various different forms of data analysis to analyze the product needs of your members. So these are the same machine learning models that you find at a top 10 bank or credit union. Then we score every single one of your members on a scale of 0 to 100, their likelihood of staying or leaving the credit union. Then we read through all of the transactions and categorize them and pull out insights to understand who's a car owner, who eats out regularly, who's frugal, who's a Venmo user, and then connecting it with their life events. So as we recall, Gen Zers are looking for guidance on retirement savings, life insurance, how much to save to achieve their goals. Well, if we can catch them at the right time based on those goals that they're saving for, that creates a more powerful experience. So where we take that, the data insights up a notch, is being able to help your marketing team actually create that list in a single click. Let's say car loans. We can add additional personalization. So say car loans for someone that has children, export that right to your marketing system, and then simply click here and then we create that marketing message, whether it's email, text, push notification. We preload this with your value propositions, your offers, your brand voice, how you want to communicate to your members. And then it's going through creating the email body, and it's going to go and create the subject line and the pre-header now. And you can really tailor this to how you need to communicate with your members. So what we found is that many marketing teams, that it takes a long time to be able to get to this point. So for one of our credit unions, they were able to uncover $5 million of high opportunity loans and deposits. That was over 5,000 product opportunities that we identified right away, over 1,000 different life events. They were about $100 million credit union. About 1,400 of their 4,500 members had retention risk, and we identified over 10,000 behaviors to enable them to personalize, really go from 0 to 1 in personalization, or go from, 1 to 10 to whatever level of personalization they want. And for their marketer, it used to take them an entire week to dig through some of the data, create some messaging, and then ultimately sequence that out. So we were able to get that down to minutes or a couple of hours so they can create a more personalized, impactful experience. So now ultimately, hyper personalization, how do we get to that point? So what we do that's unique to other organizations that help with personalization is that we're actually looking much deeper than just simply cross-selling opportunities and life events. We're actually connecting with behaviors. So as we leverage engagement data, transaction data, and core data, some third-party data like credit data and some IRS data, we can pull out financial behaviors, financial challenges, financial health, and then help you construct a message that's behavioral driven. So thinking about how would you feel if you could comfortably retire 1 year early? So leveraging a behavioral element, helping them envision their future self, and connecting it with their goal of wanting to retire. Another real life example is your member's car broke down a few times in the past couple of months, and we know that they have children based on their engagement. Well, instead of saying, hey, try our 5.5% auto loan offer, how would you feel if you can get your family from A to B in a new car? Speaking more to their family dynamics, helping them envision their future self, and then addressing that particular goal that they have of buying a new car. So where we also realize that small credit unions have some challenges is connectivity. So here at the bottom, the member and marketing intelligence that we went through, are we able to understand your member, but then provide that seamless experience across the board? So we also have a member application that helps them manage and track their goals and spending, optional, but helps provide, where we might provide more generalized product recommendations and financial literacy through emails. As we get them into an interface where they want to have more direct one-on-one recommendations, we can be more pointed in the guidance that we deliver there. Then ultimately bringing that back to other channels. So we now have a Banno tile. Depending on your digital banking interface, we may be able to bring our application in there as well, help you at least make your digital banners dynamic and personalized. HubSpot or your CRM, if you have one, or any teller MSR tools, providing them a nudge. So when your member comes in the branch, they have a they are aware of the recommendations that should be provided to that member at that time. And then soon we're connecting to ATM, so there's a personalized pop-up and a nudge to that member as they engage there. So how that compares, just going back to thinking about typical data suites and where we add value, where we do the product predictions, churn, and business intelligence, we take it up a notch and help you give those behavioral insights, the life event insights, and where it becomes important or useful for small credit unions is that you don't have to bring on a business intelligence person or a data analyst. It's user-friendly. Even your frontline staff can leverage these tools, and you can easily generate those personalized campaigns. So taking it from insights to action is as simple as a click. And then digital tools to engage your members and your staff. So, where we'd like to help you get to, whether you consider a partnership or not, is really helping you set that foundation, even if that's complementary. We want to help small credit unions ultimately show up to a board meeting that without the weight on your shoulders and just feeling more energized that you actually have real growth plans, reduce stress for you, your marketing team, because you understand, what's going on in your membership, what's that next step, that next campaign that will provide a powerful experience. As markets shift, like help you quickly pivot from one product to another, sometimes deposits to lending, because you understand where those opportunities are going to come from. As you understand your ideal member, your Gen Zer, thinking about your products and services, how can I revitalize them, remessage them? That way it appeals to the right member that I'm looking for. And then finally, having that partner in your corner that's going to stand by you in any step of the journey, whether it's getting started on marketing and data or whether it's taking it up a notch. So encourage you all to set that foundation, and ultimately would love to see small credit unions get to a point where you can build empathy into the core of your strategy. Happy to help you in any way possible. You're welcome to reach out to me through this QR code. Schedule a meeting, whether it's to talk about our product or simply to say, hey, look, I want to improve my templates or email onboarding process, or add a calculator to my website, whatever the case is. Or if you just like that free toolkit, feel free to email me. Happy to pass it on over to you, or you can tell me what technologies you're currently using, and we can make it more personalized and easy to act on. So thank you all. Happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Thank you very much, Reagan. I appreciate your presentation today. If anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat and I'm happy to read them, or you can just unmute yourself and ask the questions directly of Reagan. How often is data pulled from the core?
Great question. That's pulled nightly. So if we have an API, we could do it immediately, but what we found is that a nightly batch will give you all the insights that you need from the previous day. We can help you initiate that message instantaneously, or help you just think through your sequences on a week-to-week or monthly basis. Thanks for the question.
Any integration required with the core for this, or is it just a ASCII file that's sent over?
We could do a flat file. So it could be a core integration, or it could be a flat file. We don't need any PII. We are SOC 2 compliant. So we have the ability to really just bring in non-identifiable information and into a very secure environment because we're SOC 2 compliant. But you get a lot of insights from the core, and really that's the main data that most small credit unions have yet to capitalize on.
Okay, thank you for that. What is the implementation timeframe?
So if it's a core that we're already partnered with, then we can literally go live in a matter of a couple of days. Depending on your core provider, I'd say usually it's about a week time. But if it's, say, Jack Henry, we can probably get you up in a couple of days. If it's maybe Fiserv, it might take a couple of weeks for us to actually extract that data and set up that nightly batch.
For a small credit union, say 50 million in assets, what are your typical results that you've seen after implementation?
So it depends on the size of the membership and how engaged they are. We're typically finding for about that size of a credit union, we have about, let's call it about 3,000 members, maybe 2,000. We're identifying about $1 million per 1,000 members of high opportunity loans and deposits, usually split between about half of that is loans, half of that deposits. I would anticipate that we would be able to uncover about 2 to 3 million of high opportunity loans and deposits, about 5,000 behavioral insights, help you really unpack all of the details of your ideal member, average member, and then help you set up a sequence for that. The increase in conversion depends on the style of marketing that you're doing. So if it's purely product recommendations, if it's low segmentation, we tend to see low single digits in terms of conversion. So being able to help you step it up a notch or step it up to 10 degrees, then we can help you increase that conversion 2-3 times ultimately. Thanks for the question. Do you partner with other vendors? Marketing vendors? Yes. So we're integration agnostic. We see ourselves as non-competitive to most solutions out there. So if you have a CRM, an email system, obviously a core and digital banking provider, we'd like to connect to as many as you feel comfortable with. That way you can get the most value from our solutions. We can help you pull in, say, member signs up on a Tuesday, pull in that data overnight. That way the onboarding email goes out there on the next day. So whether it's a marketing agency, various different tools, we're happy to set up any integrations or provide them the value that they need to, so you get the most out of that ecosystem of solutions. Thanks for the question.
Any other questions from anyone before we let Reagan go? And again, Reagan, thank you so much for your time and for sharing the information on Nudge Money, some exciting information that you shared with us. If anyone has questions for Reagan as we go down through the week, and you didn't capture his contact information, please feel free to reach out to me and I will put you in touch with Reagan directly. All right, and we're going to go on to our next speaker. All right, our next speaker is Eric Loehr, Chief Revenue Officer at the Reseda Group, and he's going to tell us how credit unions can innovate regardless of your size. And I'm not going to steal his thunder, so I'm going to give the floor right away to Eric.
Thank you, Dean. And Reagan, thank you for that presentation. Your focus on small credit unions is, I think, it's important because I used to work for the Michigan Credit Union League in a role not entirely dissimilar from what Dean does day in and day out. And one of the more consistent pieces of feedback we received was from our smaller credit unions telling us, hey, Michigan State University Credit Union, they really don't need your help, right? We need your help. And so we were challenged with trying to find vendors and partners who recognize that and who worked, took the time and energy to specifically work for small credit unions to build programs that were geared towards small credit unions. So I think it's important. That mentality is carried over to the Reseda Group. We do the same thing. We're very focused on supporting small, medium-sized credit unions. And one of the things that we've been asked about is talking about utilizing strategic partnerships. It's interesting. The people who most need strategic partnerships aren't, just large credit unions. Everybody needs these strategic partnerships to compete and win in a marketplace that is incredibly competitive. And what we've done with the Reseda Group, we're a QSO, we're owned entirely by Michigan State University Federal Credit Union. We are partnered with the CCUA as a league partner. And we are very focused and have been focused on innovating. How do we innovate within the ecosystem of MSU FCU and try to drive capabilities to our members so that they aren't leaving us or they aren't using alternative solutions? Because ultimately, we know that chipping at the edges from Venmo, from Chime, all the companies that Reagan pulled up, plus so many more, those folks are chipping at our membership base. And so we're focused on innovating. And you may think to yourself, well, that's great, Eric. MSU FCU is a big credit union and you have the resources to innovate. But what we want to talk about today is how small credit unions can embrace innovation by modifying what they are doing regarding innovation, committing, a resource to it. It does take time and energy and some budget, but you can do it and have a great impact on your membership. So I'm going to move through this fairly quickly, but if you have questions, of course, throw them into the chat, or you can stop me and ask, or we'll ask them at the end, right? So when you think about the MSU FCU ecosystem, you have MSU FCU there in the top left. Our lab is essentially an innovation lab where we bring in potential partners to evaluate. We do pilots, etc., through the lab, and if they pass muster and we like them, we'll move them into broader distribution. We have done that with all of the organizations that you see here on the slide to the right. The Reseda Group, we have companies that we own outright, where we're partnered with the league. So Foresight Group, M3, Evergreen, and ChannelNet. Different types of solutions. I won't get into those today. I promised Dean I wouldn't sell anything. And then the other solutions that you see, these are investments that we have made as a CUSO. The secret sauce to Michigan State University Credit Union and Reseda Group's investment strategy is we only invest in those companies that we're doing business with, because we know them, we have seen their solution in use, and we know that they have some legs behind them, and so we may invest in them to support our partnership. Partnership is a two-way street. When you hear me talk about strategic partnerships, it's not just a one-way street of you partnering with them for them to help you. You need to partner with them for you to maybe help them out as well. And that help can come in a number of different ways, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So the first thing to do is to commit and support. You have got to make sure that your entire team is involved in this and buys into it from start to finish. The idea being, if you make one person your innovation person, and you say, okay, Margaret, you're my innovation person, and you're responsible for innovation at the credit union, Margaret's going to face an uphill battle, because she's now fighting entrenched solutions. She's fighting people who don't necessarily want to make change because it adds more work, or whatever the case may be. So from the leadership at the board level all the way down to a part-time teller or customer or member service representative on the phone, everybody has to buy into the innovation mentality. So what I would say is, you need to have that commitment at the highest level, and you need everybody bought in order for it to get legs. So the question then becomes, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? So what is the idea behind what you're working to accomplish? What are the biggest challenges that you're facing as a credit union? What are you trying to overcome? If you're a small credit union and you just solve one problem for the year with innovation, great. That's plenty, right? That's what you need to be thinking about is, how do I solve my most important and my most critical issues? Let's focus our innovation attention there. So the first thing you're going to do is research, and that's, research is not easy. It takes time, takes energy. You need to have people that are looking into what solutions might be out there for the problems you're facing. Then you pilot and test and learn, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Then you need to implement the solution, embed it into your organization. And then when you see me say go big, the idea is, dive into this. Don't tip your fingers or your toes into the water. You need to commit to innovation, but you will not regret it. It is something that you need to do to continue to better serve your members. So the first thing to think about is research. Right. When you think about research, you have so many different ways to do it. You can go to different events. You can go to FinTech Meetup or FinTech Connect or, Innovate or Money 2020. There's a lot of resources out there to go to and get educated, but those are very expensive. One of the best ways to learn is to work with your members, to survey your members. We have 600 members at Michigan State University Credit Union that are a part of our research and innovation group. If you ask them, they'll join. We all know that members always have opinions, right? They want to share with us what it is that they see and what it is that they want to do and need. And so if you ask some of your members to be part of your innovation group, part of your group that's going to test things, they'll give you their opinions, and you will never please all of this group, but they will feel a part of the effort. Especially if they're credentialed or experienced members at your, within your space, that somebody who's retired in a specific area, you're working on compliance, you had somebody with that sort of background. Reach out to them directly, seek them out, and they can help you uncover some of the unseen needs that you have, because they'll tell you what you're doing great on a survey, but they aren't necessarily as prone to tell you what you're not doing great unless you talk to them and ask them. And that's where the research benefit really comes into play. So you think about the benefits you get to of innovation. You can potentially expand into new markets. I'm not going to read all of these. I'll make this available after the webinar. You can reduce risk by sharing it across multiple organizations. It doesn't require a merger or an acquisition to create these sorts of synergies. You get greater product visibility, using resources like what Reagan or Reseda Group or others out there might have to drive awareness of your products. And then you can test waters with one another before committing to a joint venture. You can really run these pilots. And when you hear us talk about pilots, these don't have to be incredibly complex. You roll them out to a subset of your membership, and you work with them to see what their response is. You get the real-time response and engagement that you need in order to determine the viability of the solution. And what I'll tell you, we believe is that partnerships are really a force multiplier. They help you get out of your, kind of your normal zone. We're also oftentimes so myopic in what we're working on. We're working on our specific area of expertise. We're working on our specific area of responsibility. Using partnerships and being a part of partnership discussion and a part of innovation opens your eyes to new ways of thinking and new ways of looking at things. It's hard to have a team, regardless of your size, and we certainly learned this at MSU-FCU, that is an expert at everything, right? You've got a key leadership team of, let's call it, 5, 6 people, and they're your leads within your different organization structure. It is hard to say that those 5 and 6 people are going to be experts on everything you need to know about. So, but there are experts out there, and you can utilize those strategic partners to leverage their expertise. Reagan is an expert in a specific area. I mean, he can help you get better and learn. We are experts in specific areas. We've got deep knowledge because we're in it every day, and it's what we do. So you can help deepen your understanding through the understanding of what the strategic partner is working on, and they can provide you that feedback to help guide you. Ways that you can use innovation, the most important benefits of these are to embrace an entrepreneurial mindset. We hear that. You hear the term entrepreneurial mindset, but you need to work on it. You need to work on it every day. How are we going to get better? The entrepreneurial mindset of we've always done it like that is not an entrepreneurial mindset, right? You've got to break out of that. You get to create new ideas. You then incubate those ideas, test them, pilot them. Then once you've tested and piloted them and evaluated them, then you can drive the acceleration of adoption within your credit union. And then finally, the entrepreneurship, right, that you bring this in-house. And we'll talk a little bit about that in addition to the resources of your membership, you have resources within the team at your credit union that are very beneficial for you to kind of source. So thinking about that idea, how we look to innovate is we use an entrepreneurial mindset. We drive it and cultivate it across the credit union. We ask for feedback. We ask for guidance. Now, let me give you an example of what not to do that we did, right? We had people drive innovation thoughts and, really the suggestion card box, if you will. And then they sent those in, and then it goes into a black hole. No one responds. If it was an idea that we worked on, great. We looked at it. The innovation team would look at it. If we didn't think it was something we were going to work on, that was fine too. We set it aside. Thank you for your suggestions. Keep them coming, but we weren't giving them feedback. That feedback is important, even if you aren't going to go down that path. Even if I say, Dean, thank you for that suggestion on checking rewards. However, that's just not with checking in its current environment. We're focused on other areas that we think are higher impact. That's where we're going to focus today. If you can close that loop, you're going to continue to get those suggestions, even though you might not be using them. You work closely with your internal stakeholders. Again, everybody's got to be bought in on this. attend the industry events, even if you can only pick one. And I can offer suggestions. My team can offer suggestions that said, if you're going to go to one, pick this one. But there are so many of them out there, and your state and your league events are great places to if you go and attend those, you can meet so many different and new vendors that are doing new things within the industry. So I'd encourage you to attend those events statewide that you or league wide that you have, because your league team is working very hard to make sure you're getting exposure to as many different things as possible. The CCUA is extraordinary in this area. They're a leader in it. FinTech Connect that they do, they'll be doing here in June at their annual convention, a great event with lots of new innovative users that are out there that or vendors that are out there. And you can just stop by and talk to them and learn more right there locally. You don't have to travel to San Francisco for Finovate or for Las Vegas for Money 2020, whatever the case may be. You want to run innovation challenges, promoting employee ideation. We call it CU Ignite. But within your own organization, you can run these simple challenges. You can ask for innovative ideas, ask for ways that your team thinks you can improve. And then you know what? Every quarter, a few people get a lunch. It's not an expensive way of doing things, but it just highlights that we're asking for this and we're rewarding response. And it's a way to help create that mindset and cultivate that mindset across your credit union. Evaluate, and support your fintech partnerships. When you onboard them, you need to support them. You need to look at ways that you can be a great partner for them. Are you giving referrals? Are you willing to be a pilot for them, even though it might not be your highest priority today? For them to pilot a new solution. Those are things that you can do to be a great partner to your fintech partners, because they need help and access as well. Research emerging technologies. Take a look at what's out there as part of your innovation thinking. And again, doesn't have to be one person. Everybody says, oh, well, the CIO is going to look at crypto, or the compliance is going to look at what extended reality means for us. I mean, everybody, go ahead and become versed in some of these areas. You don't have to be an expert, but at least know the language, know the vernacular. There are all sorts of resources on LinkedIn. I do a subscription every year to Masterclass, and so it's a video learning. I just did a class on AI, and man, it was eye-opening, because I thought I knew some things, and I do. Just enough to be dangerous, but this led me to other information and really opened my eyes to some things. Provide thought leadership. I'll tell you, nothing makes you an expert on something faster than having to present it in public. That is a fast way to learn about a subject, is commit to present to it in public. If you do that, whether it be a podcast or writing an article or public speaking at an event at the CCUA or at other local events with your Chamber of Commerce, with your small business teams, whatever the case may be, if you commit to go out and talk about a solution, you're going to become an expert, or not a solution, but a space. You're going to become an expert in that space, because nobody wants to go out in public or write an article unless they're well versed in the space. So that's one way to challenge yourself to do that, even if it's going to your networking events, whatever the case may be. Challenge yourself to speak in public or to write a public article around something that you're interested in. You will become very knowledgeable in that, just based on fear. Incubate and accelerate ideas via pilots. That's what I'll tell you when it comes to MSU FCU. We run a lot of pilots. Now, again, you don't have to run a lot of pilots to have an effective pilot strategy. You just need to be willing to run a pilot or two on something that's a priority for you, so that you can learn, really see how the implications of it downstream. What are some of the unforeseen things that have happened as a result of it? I'll give you another example of a what not to do. we have a solution. We're Michigan State University Credit Union, so we're associated with Michigan State University Athletics. We did a promotion on game days where if you were Michigan State University debit card holder on game days, we would send out a notification to your app that would say, hey, you've won an opportunity to compete for prizes. So there's this little silly football game on your phone where you just kind of flick your screen to kick a field goal, and if you did that and you were entered to win some sort of prize. Well, at Michigan State University on a Saturday around campus, there's 75, 80, 90,000 people wandering around. So we were talking to those folks if they were MSU credit union debit card holders. So use your debit card, right? You have an opportunity to win. So swipe your debit card, you have an opportunity to win. We did that, and we were all fired up about what a great event this is going to be for us, and we're going to learn so much. And then we didn't tell our frontline staff about it. We didn't tell our tellers about it. We didn't tell our call centers about it. We just marketing and innovation. We just went great guns and said, here we go. And of course, people were seeing something pop up on their phone. What do we tell everybody, every member? Don't, be careful about what's up on your phone. Be careful of fraudsters. Be careful of people using tricks to gain access. And they were calling into our systems or doing messaging, and our teams were accurately saying, God, I'd delete it if I were you. I don't know. We don't know anything about that. Now, that was a great lesson for us. And it goes back to working closely with internal and external stakeholders. We did not work with our internal stakeholders, all of them. The people that we thought were involved, right? Marketing, the cards people, our outreach folks, they were all on board, but we hadn't talked to our frontline staff. We didn't anticipate getting calls. That's a what not to do. So think about those downstream impacts. That's what a pilot will do for you. So engage your employees for information, but make sure that you are responding to it. Another point that I like to bring up is that risk can be shared with these strategic alliances. You can minimize risk and minimize potential challenges by working together. I call it getting people into the canoe with you. Shared risk motivates greater effort and accountability on all sides, both externally with the partner, because they have skin in the game, and internally as well. Failure is learning. Failure means you went beyond the usual. It's not, we're not talking about failing at a core conversion. We want to avoid that, but you can fail at some of these innovation efforts. You can fail at some of these pilots that you're working on, because that's where you're going to learn the greatest. And you learn, you fail fast, fail forward, right? And you gain the benefit of that knowledge so that you don't make that mistake the next time. So, and keep in mind that when you bring in strategic alliances and help you reduce risk, they're thinking about things on your behalf as well. So look at these strategic alliances, these partnerships, as a way to help you accelerate your timelines. They help you extend your knowledge capabilities. They help you share risk. They help you get people involved and invested in your success. All of those are force multipliers that benefit you and will benefit your members. Just some examples of some things that we've done. So we brought in a company called Changed. If you're not familiar with Changed, they're a debt reduction app. And we saw them at a Innovate one year and thought, well, that's really interesting. We should take a look at that. And we went back and did an analysis and realized that we had already had a lot of members that were using this already. So we had a significant number of users, and those users within the MSU FCU member community, Change was talking to them about what Change wants to talk to them about. They weren't talking to them about what we would like them to talk about. So we decided, man, we need to look at a strategic partnership with them, and find a way to work with them, because our members are out there sourcing these innovative solutions on their own. So if we're not providing an alternative, they're going to find it on their own. They're very, our members are clever and they're thinking about ways to make their life easier. We need to help them do that. So we realized early on that we can't box out these types of companies. We can't build it ourselves. We just simply lack, even as a very large credit union, we lack the resources to try to build it ourselves, the expertise needed to build it ourselves. We can't stop them from being exposed, can't stop the exposure to our members. So you better figure out how to work with them. So we went ahead and did a pilot, 18% month over month growth during the pilot. We had, in a few months, 337 new members downloaded the app. 83% of this cohort saw savings in their student loan debt. Of course, we're very sensitive to student loan debt, being a university-based credit union. And they saw a savings of over $946 a year based on their participation with the Changed app. 78% of the members that we focused on after the innovation said that they're more likely to use their MSU FCU card because it changed. And 93% said they're more likely to recommend in their peers. We launched the decision to move forward. We launched it in February 2022, excuse me. It's now been a little over 3 years, and we've invested in Changed. We continue to have expansion of their utilization within our customer and member base. So we've had great success. This is as of September 22, 2022, we had saved members 159,000. We had payments that were sent of about 136,000. The members had saved an interest about $110,000, and we were seeing month over month growth. That has continued year over year. And then they're saving over a year, a little over 1.31 years on average off of their loan. This is incredibly impactful. This is an incredibly impactful solution for our members, and it allows them to tackle something that's a high interest to our, of high interest to our consumers. Changed app has grown and expanded. They're now doing early mortgage payoff, early credit card payoff, beyond student loan debt. And we've been a great partner of Changed in helping them innovate in those places and asking them about what's next. What are you working on? What are you going on beyond student loans? We think this would be a great place, and then help them with the resources to do that. So we had a great pilot result there. Another pilot result was with Nichols. Nichols, what they do is they'll do a checking account analysis, and then they will take a look at those members that you have that are using other cards. And then you can reach out and utilize your marketing solutions to reach out to those folks and help drive an increase of 40% of those loans going personal loans to help them pay off that credit card debt and get rid of that high interest debt. We had, with our pilot, we saw 176 loans that were approved for about $1.3 million, and 900,000 in new credit limits on cards. Now, that's a big number if you think about it from a standpoint of MSU FCU, but if you're a smaller credit union, just take those numbers down. And to give you some context, right? We're about an $8.5 billion credit union. So you take a look at those numbers, and that's an immediate impact of your on your members and their ability to do more with you, and you gain their confidence. We've gained their confidence, and we've gained their support and their top of card awareness. Another thing, again, being a good partner, we've asked Nichols to do different things. One of the things that they're doing now is a card check program, where they now look not just at cards that you're using, but rewards cards that your members are using. And we're saying, okay, your rewards card, I know you like your Citi Rewards card, and you're paying X number of dollars for that every year. But here's the value of your rewards, and the X doesn't equal Y. So here's our card, and we can save you $600 a year in cost, and above and beyond what you're getting with your rewards card for rewards you don't use. It's a great message. It's a great way to move people over to your cards. And sorry, I realized I didn't advance that That screen, I apologize, but it's a great way to get people over to your card. One of the hardest things to unseat is a really good rewards card. So we, again, growing with Nichols, helping them expand their capability. And then the last one I'll share with you really quick is our relationship with Silver. Silver is really a retirement simplified. So the idea behind Silver is that really helps you speak to those members that are approaching retirement or in retirement, kind of a 50 plus, and it helps you uncover where some of their dollars are. So in our case, we had 22,000 members that were 50-year-old plus, 3.37 billion in deposit, a median income of 62,000. 36% of those 22,000 members were using our mobile app, and 44% of them were using our computer line or online banking. So we did a pilot with Silver to really drive awareness of the application and what it's capable of providing for members, and the results were staggering. We learned that many of our members have saved for retirement, but the assets are all either still with an employer or resided somewhere else. Silver identified over 1.3 billion in retirement savings that we could then speak to those folks about using and utilizing our wealth management resources. They were engaged with Silver, 2.2 sessions per month, 18 minutes per month within the Retirement Simplified app by Silver. And we know that we were able to speak to them, and Silver was able to speak to them about critical issues that were important to them and they were engaged in. They were spending almost 20 minutes a month in that application as supported by MSU-FCU. That was very powerful information back from the pilot, and that's why we implemented Silver. It's implemented today. We are using it at MSU-FCU. We have continued to grow our relationship. We invested in them, and that all came from this pilot, which uncovered, not just that people, where the retirement savings were, but also that we were getting huge open rates on our newsletters that came in from Silver, number of sessions and minutes, and we were getting their eyeballs. So we moved forward with Silver. We've had pilots that didn't work, had pilots where we didn't get a results, and we didn't move forward, but you need to be able to really evaluate. I'm going to skip the collegiate overview just as we in an effort to be responsible with time. And I want to talk to you about, kind of the top 5 takeaways I hope you're able to take from today. The first thing is you need to find that team. You need to talk to your team, get their buy-in, and that's from the board all the way across the entire organization. Everybody has to be committed, and that's number one, is that helps you get everybody into the canoe with you, right? So there's shared risk. But number two, it's an understanding that innovation is not always going to be successful. Not everything that you try is going to work. Not everything that you do is going to be successful. So you have to prepare the organization that we're going to try new things. And as a result, we're going to move outside of our comfort zone, and we may occasionally stumble and fall, but we're going to continue. We are committed to innovating, and we're going to continue to do this so that we can better serve our member. Make it a part of your strategy. There's just really no other way that you can do it. Secondly, decide what you can commit to. You don't have to be everywhere and do everything. Think about what's most important to you that best aligns with your strategy over the next 1 year, 5 years, and really focus on those key priorities. That's where you want to run your pilots. That's where you want to focus your attention on innovation. Determine what that vision looks like for your credit union. What is it that's going to be that you're about? What is your why? What is your focus going to be for innovation? And if you think about that and you stay true to that and build that right from the get-go, it helps to eliminate a lot of challenges that you might have regarding where do we want to go, what direction do we want to go in. If you can determine that vision early on as to what you want to be as an innovator, it helps make your life easier as you go through the innovation path. Find your partners. I'll tell you, Reagan, the Reseda Group, right? Organizations like ours, we are committed to partnering with small credit unions. We are committed to helping them succeed. our CEO, April Clovis, she absolutely believes that without small credit unions, the credit union industry will take a turn for the worse. It will not. We do so much within our communities, our banking people who wouldn't otherwise be banked, and small credit unions are an integral part of that. So find your partners, find those partners that are committed to the same thing. Find partners that you'll hear these folks talk about their journey and talk about how they started. Reagan, again, going back to his presentation about what got him started, that gives you some view as to where he's coming from. If they're just looking to grow their business and get out, well, there's nothing wrong with that. But is that a person that really aligns with your values and aligns with what you're trying to accomplish? So find your partners, be choosy, and then support those partners and ask for their support. It's ask them to support you and ask for them support. A great way to save money are to give a new innovative solution an opportunity to try something with you because they're trying to prove out their solution. They can oftentimes do pilots at a little bit lower cost, and because you're on the front side, what they call the bleeding edge. The bleeding edge is called that for a reason, because sometimes there's some pain, sometimes it doesn't work, but it also offers a lot of opportunity for you. And then finally, don't let fear slow you down. Don't be afraid to fail. That's why it's so important to have the board and the senior leadership on board, because you are going to fail. Right? You are going to have things that don't work, but they need to be supportive of you and say, okay, you learn, what did we learn? And let's move on. Right? I'm a big Dune fan. You guys may recognize this if you're a Dune fan, right? Fear is the mind killer, and it stops you from doing things because you're afraid. You're afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't fear moving aggressively and confidently into a future, because you will be benefiting your credit union, you will benefit your members, and but you've got to take that step and know that it's okay that occasionally things aren't going to work out the way you planned, and you won't tell your frontline staff about a program that you've got with 80,000 people. So take those lessons and learn from them. I'm happy to talk to you at any time. Eric Loehr with the Reseda Group. We're a partner with the CCUA with different solutions that we think are high value for you. And we will work closely with Dean and team. Be very responsive. If you have questions, you can email me at eric.loehr@resedagroup.com. Dean has all that information as well. And you can reach me through him. I'll stop here and open it up to any questions, because I have not seen any questions because I've been looking at this presentation.
If anyone has any questions, you can enter them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask directly to Eric. I just wanted to thank you, Eric, for sharing all of these great solutions, and just reiterate that choosing the right partners is so important, especially as you move forward in trying to be innovative for a credit union. Having the board support and team buy-in, as long as everyone knows what's happening within the credit union. So I can't reiterate the importance of a whole team buy-in. And then, like you said, having the board support and letting them know that failure could happen. But what did we learn from it? So when we go to implement the next thing, we already know where the pitfalls are, and we can try to walk over those.
Absolutely.
I'll stop talking for now. Anyone have any questions for Eric? Well, if anyone thinks of any questions, we have another minute. I'm going to just remind everyone that this is our last session of the Small Credit Union series. They have all been recorded. The first 4 episodes are now available on our website. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. If you need contact information for Eric or Reagan, please contact me. I will put you directly in touch with them. If you have any questions at all that I can help answer, please reach directly out to me.
All right.
Thank you, everyone,
Thanks,
for your
Dean.
time, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.